I mean, I think a more appropriate name for Krishna West would be Krishna adaptable to different cultures. In other words, let's say if we go to China, then probably Krishna West would utilize people eating with chopsticks, so people would feel more comfortable. So the idea is that whatever culture you're in, present the essence of Krishna consciousness, and then you can have the external cultural things that people are comfortable with, because you have to have people more comfortable with something unusual. You know, just like there are studies done in different universities of how to get people to change their lifestyle. And there's one university, Stanford, a very famous university in the United States, and there's a Professor Fogg, who I've actually been studying some of his work, and he talks about to get people to change in their life, they have to do baby steps. You can't expect people to just like jump all of a sudden to a new thing. So baby steps means you give them Krishna consciousness gradually and allow them to progress at their own rate and allow them to stay there if they happen to want to stay and not want to put on dhoti or whatever. That's Krishna West. And it's expressed, one of the things that Vedananda Maharaj said sometimes can be taken in a way that's a little controversial. He says Krishna West is not a bridge, it's a destination. That doesn't mean it's not ISKCON. Krishna West is ISKCON, it's fully ISKCON. And in the same way that ISKCON also has student hostels in India, that means we allow students to dress their normal way and live in hostels and get prasadam and go to the different universities in India, like the IIT. And we're making thousands of devotees that way in India. So even in India, you know, we have to present things in a more Western way than many devotees are accustomed to. So what to speak of the Western world? Because we're not, I mean, if you look at the progress we're making in the Western world in the last 10, 15 years, it's minimal. I mean, just to be honest, I mean, most of our temples in the West are primarily functioning with Indian devotees. And, you know, I love Indian devotees. I mean, I work with them all the time. But if you go to the West and it's only Indian devotees, it would be like going to India and have only Americans in your temple. I mean, it's just weird, isn't it? You come to New Zealand, and then, you know, we have a few token Kiwis now. Well, he's not even a Kiwi. He's a honorary Kiwi. We have a, I mean, just look, I mean, how many Kiwis do we have coming to the temple? I mean, if you want to be successful in New Zealand, you got to have Kiwis in addition to Indians, in addition to Chinese. I mean, it has to be, the mix should represent the percentages in a particular location. Let's say if there's 10% people from India in New Zealand, so 10% of your devotees should be people from India. And if you got 20% Chinese, so 20% of the devotees should be Chinese. I mean, it should be representative of the local population if we're actually going to be successful. So that's the idea. So anyway, so if we look at the last 15 years, I mean, the temples have become largely, at least in America, New Zealand, and Australia, largely influenced or catering to the Indian congregation, and then we're not making so many of the local people anymore. And then what that means long term is that we're not going to have a worldwide movement anymore. It's just going to be one particular culture that's going to be in the movement, whereas Prabhupada wanted United Nations of the spiritual world. He wanted everyone to work together, you know, the Westerners, the Indians, the Chinese, the Russians. I mean, this is the success of our movement if we can do that. And in order to make the world Krishna conscious, we have to start making thousands of devotees, or tens of thousands, or millions of devotees. I mean, if we make devotees one by one, that's not very good. I mean, it's gonna take till the next Ātma-Yoga to become prominent, isn't it? I mean, it's crazy. And one of the reasons we don't make devotees, in addition to the whole idea of the external presentation, is that we don't understand the primary way of making members is what's called through social networking, which is very, very interesting. That's been analyzed by sociologists, that people join a religious movement because of the friends they make and the social support they get. Now, if you look at societies like the Mormons, which are increasing rather rapidly, they really reach out and help each other. You know, someone has to go to the hospital, someone needs a job, someone is suffering, they help each other. And somehow or other, another problem with the present state of ISKCON is that we've become a little too transcendental. You know, if someone is sick, well, you're not your body, Prabhu. If someone is dying, he's just changing his body. You know, if your father dies, he said, you know, he just changed his body. Don't worry, it's just like someone changes clothes. So, you know, you don't really want to lose your heart by becoming too philosophical. And I think there may be that tendency that we become so much enraptured in philosophy. And also, that makes us very proud because we have the best philosophy, which I will not argue with. And therefore we think we're the best, or I'm the best because I have the best philosophy and I can defeat everybody else. And so there's a great deal lacking of humility that I've seen, especially some of these arguments on the internet, not only about Krishna West, but about, you know, the female Diksha Guru, about so many things, you know, conservative versus liberal. You can just like classify them like that. The arguments, generally the arguments degrade into what we call ad hominem attacks. Ad hominem attacks means personal attacks. And they don't really just stay on the philosophical platform. And when someone engages in attacks like that, verbal attacks like that, it indicates, you know, false prestige. So we've become very proud, you know, because we have the best thing. You know, it's like today we're driving around in a Lexus. So I've become very proud because I have a driver and he's driving me around in a Lexus. But if I was just driving around in what's a cheap car? A Corolla or something, then I wouldn't be so proud. So really, but I'm still the same person. And, you know, we become proud because of what we're associated with, which is kind of funny. We should be very humble and understand, basically, that we have to develop compassion. Like Lord Chaitanya said, Jiva Doya and Namaruchi, those are our first two businesses. Not to just be defeating everybody with philosophy and exhibiting our erudition.